guys. Okay, so I'm back and I've been thinking about what we can make together this time around, and there are a couple things that I have seriously been craving. On the one hand, I've been wanting sweet rolls or cinnamon rolls. On the other hand, I've been craving chocolate and peanut butter. No, those are so delicious together. So what we're going to make today is called, what I call actually, a smooshed recipe. Yes, that is a real term in my house, smoosh. So I am taking two or more recipes together and I'm smooshing one detail of one recipe, one detail of another recipe, and the last detail of the other last recipe, and I'm making it into one big recipe, and I always hope, fingers crossed, that it works out. So this recipe is already having me salivate. I love peanut butter, I love chocolate. So seductive, those two components together. So what you're gonna need is your basic sweet roll recipe or your bread dough recipe. I know pretty much everybody has their own recipe or own recipe books that you can get them from. So I've already went ahead and pre-made my dough right here. Whoa, look at that. And with this dough, I have my own tried and true recipe. It's not a sweet roll recipe, it's just a bread recipe, a normal bread recipe. And you know, I love it. It's mine. And I'm sure there are others out there who have your own bread recipes that are yours and they're passed on from generations to generations. Now, I have tried a ton, believe me, a ton of bread recipes. And this one that I'm making today is just the best recipe in the world. So use a recipe that you love, or if you don't have a recipe, there's a gazillion recipes online or in your cookbooks, and go ahead and make it. Now, the difference with this recipe that I normally make is, here comes one of the smooshy parts, is there's actually peanut butter in the recipe, in the bread dough. Right. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so excited to try it. I hope it works. So I've never actually put peanut butter in my dough, but one of the recipes says to put, so let's see, it was 2 tablespoons of peanut butter in the recipe. And so what I did, and what she recommends, is to melt your butter that goes in the dough, and you melt your peanut butter and you mix them together, and then you put it in with the dough. And it's gonna be, oh, I hope it's gonna be fantastic. Okay, we are going to let this rise for a couple hours until it's doubled in size, and then we're gonna go ahead and make the filling. Now, I have read recipes that have just cinnamon, sugar, and then they put chocolate chips in it, and they roll it up like a regular cinnamon roll, and then they just put like a peanut butter cream cheese frosting on it. Cream cheese frosting with peanut butter sounds delicious, but, and I don't want to offend anybody, but the cinnamon and the sugar with the peanut butter and the chocolate just doesn't do it for me. It just doesn't sound tantalizing to me. It doesn't sound seductive like these rolls should be. So what I'm gonna do is, I found another recipe that has a peanut butter cream, and you spread that lovely joyous stuff all around the roll, and then you roll it up, and then you're gonna melt peanut butter, and you're gonna melt chocolate afterwards, after they're done baking, and you're gonna drizzle it all over that bad boy, and it just sounds so good. So we are gonna do that today. So I'm gonna put this off to the side. We're gonna let it proof for a couple hours until doubled in bulk again, and then we're gonna make the peanut butter cream. Okay, so stay tuned. Okay guys, so before we start the filling, I just want to make sure that credit is given where credit is due. So I went ahead and listed below in the description the links to these 2 separate recipes that I'm smooshing together. So if you want to take a look at the separate recipes, go ahead and feel free. They'll be in the description below. So what we're going to do for the filling is, you're going to get out your stand mixer, and then we need a 1/2 cup of butter softened, a cup of peanut butter, 3 tablespoons milk, and 2 cups powdered sugar, and then we're going to mix that in our mixer for 3 to 4 minutes, or until light and fluffy. So I've got everything pre-cut out, or pre-cut. I've got everything pre-measured out. I've got my mixer on, and then we're just gonna kind of dump everything in and see how it goes. So I've got my milk, my 3 tablespoons milk, And then I've got my butter. Butter. We're gonna dump that in. Nice and soft butter. Okay, and then we've got the peanut butter. I just love peanut butter. I would just lick this whole thing clean if I could. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to make our sweet rolls. Our tantalizing and seductive sweet rolls. Okay, almost got all this out. And then we're just going to add in our powdered sugar. And make sure, I've done this before, but make sure when you're dealing with anything powdered that you don't turn it on high at once, because then it'll go right in your face and all over your walls and your countertops. So make sure to start off slow until it's mixed in, and then you can increase the speed. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this for 3 to 4 minutes or until it's light and fluffy, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. Are you guys ready to see this? Look how good that is. Oh, I'm gonna taste it. Peanut butter. I love me some peanut butter. Oh, yummy. Wish you guys were here to taste this. This is so delightful. Okay. All right, moving on. So our filling is done. I'm gonna save that for later so I can eat it. But I should probably wash my hands too. Okay, let's start. So my dough is all ready. We're gonna roll this bad boy out, and then we're gonna put our wonderful filling in it. So here's my dough. It's all beautifully risen. And we're just gonna plop it out, and we're gonna roll it out into a big rectangle. And I've got my counter pre-floured so it doesn't stick to my counter. I've got my handy dandy rolling pin. And I love my rolling pin because when it's tapered at the end, so if you have one side that's a little bit thicker, you can use a tapered end and kind of scooch it back. And it's nice and big. So I have a little itty bitty one, but it just doesn't do the job when I have a lot of dough to work with. So we're just gonna roll this out. And then once it's all the way out, we're going to smother it with our peanut butter filling. And it's gonna be so good. Okay, so I've got this rolled out, and I think it's gonna be about, I measured it 22 inches, that's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 by 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, about 18 and a half. So we're gonna go ahead and leave it like that. We're gonna plop all this lovely, delicious filling on it and spread it out. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait till this bakes. It's gonna be so good. I hope it's gonna be good. Yum. Okay, and I'm just plopping them all over so when I go to spread it out, I can kind of connect the plops. That's a term. Connect the plops together. Okay. You want to make sure you get every little last piece of delicious filling that you can, just so it makes a very delightful sweet roll. All right, now I'm going to try and spread this out as even and as good as I can, just about so maybe a half an inch to an inch from the edge so it doesn't ooze out when you roll it up. And from there we will go and roll it up and cut it and let them rise one more time. So, and me with sweet rolls and cinnamon rolls, I don't like the puny little itty bitty guys. I like the nice big round cinnamon rolls. And then that way whoever enjoys it will have a nice big piece of cinnamon roll or sweet roll. Okay, I think this is pretty much ready. Now, the recipe that I'm going along with on this filling said to put some chopped up Reese's peanut butter cups on it. I don't have Reese's peanut butter cups, and me being cheap, I just improvised. So I pulled out some, just your average Joe chocolate chips, and I'm gonna pour a whole bunch on top just to get that chocolate inside your sweet roll. And I might have to take a scoop, whatever's left in my mixing bowl, put a couple of chocolate chips in it and just taste it and see if it tastes good. Which I'm sure it will. I'm super excited. Okay. Almost ready here. And you can use probably as many chocolate chips as you like, or as little, or even none, because we're gonna drizzle some chocolate on top afterwards too. So I had about a half a bag, and I am using that whole half bag. All right, now is the time to roll. And this is kind of the hardest part for me. Just so you want to try and make sure it's a tight roll so that when you bake it, all the filling doesn't ooze out on the bottom. And sometimes that is the hardest part for me, is to get that super tight roll. So we'll just start rolling along here, and then I'm stretching it back as I roll it. So I'm gonna roll it up a little bit, stretch the roll part back, and then roll it up again. Roll it, stretch it, and roll it. Just so that it hopefully makes a nice, tight cinnamon roll. And when you roll your dough out, you don't want it to be super thin that you can see through it, because then it'll crack and break when you're rolling it. And not like super thick either. You want it just, and it takes practice, you want it just thick enough that it'll hold up to the consistency of the rolled dough that you want. Okay, so I've got it all rolled. I'm just pinching the ends now so that they won't come apart. I'm going to kind of scooch it in together so that's a nice fat log. And then I'm just going to run my hands up and down that log just so that it makes it nice and smooth as you can get it. And then it'll be easier to cut, and the measurements when you cut will be a little bit better. You won't have kind of wonky looking sweet rolls. Okay, I think we are good to go. Okay, so this is what it looks like on my ends. So we're gonna go ahead and we're going to measure it out, and then we're gonna cut them. And how I cut them, people do it differently. You can use floss and cut it with floss. I like to use a non-serrated sharp knife. So what I'm gonna do is I've got my measuring stick, and I'm gonna measure out, I think I do it 2 inches. Let's see. Yeah, 3 inches would be way too much. So 2 inches for each cinnamon roll. And I'm just gonna slice a little cut on top at the 2-inch mark, and then just go over 2 more inches and then slice another top. Slice another mark. And I'm just do that all the way down the log. Now I'm not cutting all the way through, I'm just slicing a little bit of the dough so I know where 2 inches is. And then I'll go back and slice them. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rolls in this log. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these. And when you cut with a knife, you don't wanna saw like this, because that'll ruin your dough. You want to just gently, I don't even know what you would call it, gently just do one swipe and then go back and do another swipe and another swipe until you've got your roll cut. So I'm almost through here. And it's getting a little sticky, but we'll make it work. Okay. So I'm not going to show you the first roll because the first roll is always ugly. So I'm going to put this on my pan. I've got my pan ready. I've got my parchment paper on my pan so it doesn't stick. I'm just gonna plop it on there. And I'm gonna kind of squish them down just slightly. Okay, and then I've got some filling coming out, so I'm just gonna wipe that off on a paper towel. And then we're gonna start the next roll. We're just gonna cut and cut and cut until all of it's done. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to cover them and let them rise again until they're about double. You want to either, sometimes you can let them touch. If you want to let them touch, they grow a little bit taller. But when they touch on the pan, I find that the centers of them will go up and it'll look more like a triangle type thing or a pyramid versus a cinnamon roll. So here is one of my lovely cinnamon rolls. There's 2 inches. It's gonna be so good. Okay. And then we're gonna do the next one. Okay, and if they stick, if they look ugly when you pull them off, kind of like that, that's okay. Just fix them a little bit. Show them some tender, loving care before you devour them after they're baked. And then on these rolls, we're actually going to brush on some heavy cream, heavy whipping cream on the tops. I did that with some biscuits the other day. Oh my gosh, they came out so good. It was actually just milk, not cream. But can you imagine having cream on it instead of milk? That would be just, oh, so good. So these are all done and they're on and cut and set. And I'm gonna try and show you without dropping them. Woo! They're gonna be so delicious. Okay, so we're gonna cover them. I use plastic wrap. We're gonna cover them, let them rise, and you're gonna preheat your oven. A lot of people do it at like 375 to 400, but I always do it at 350 for about 20 to 25 minutes. Just because I don't really like them brown on top. They're supposed to be brown, but sometimes they're a little too brown and too crusty for me. So I do 350 for about 20 to 25 minutes. And then right before we pop them in the oven, we're gonna take some heavy cream and we're gonna brush some heavy cream over the top. And then we're gonna pop them in, and then I'll show you when they come out. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys before I put this in the oven. They have grown, they're starting to touch each other. And that means they're about ready to go in the oven. So I put my cream on top and they look so good so far. So I'm gonna throw these in the oven and I'll show you what they look like when they come out. Okay, I'm gonna try and do this recording and pulling it out at the same time. So hopefully I don't drop them. But are you ready? Whoa. Oh my gosh, look at those cinnamon rolls. Holy cow. Look how awesome they look. Whoa. Those are huge. Look how big they got. Those look delicious. Okay, so from here, I'm gonna let them cool down just a little bit. And we're going to warm up our chocolate and drizzle it over, and warm up our peanut butter and drizzle it over. And then I'm gonna eat one. Okay, hang on. I'm so excited to show you guys these rolls. Okay, so what I have done is I pull them out, I let them cool off a little bit. I melted about, well, it called for a 1/3 cup peanut butter and a 1/3 cup of chocolate. I needed a little bit more. So I did a little bit more and I just drizzled all on top. And are you guys ready to see it? Oh. And then I had a little extra surprise that I added on top. And I'm so excited. Okay. You guys ready? I'm just trying to decide which one I want to show you first. Oh. Okay, we'll choose this one. Okay. Ready? Dun, dun, dun. Oh my gosh, look at that cinnamon roll or sweet roll. Doesn't that look divine and so seductive? Oh my heck. Oh my heck. These are like Valentine worthy. Treat your significant other with these cinnamon rolls. They look so fantastic. Okay, now the moment of truth is we need to taste one. My hands are all gooey, but that is okay. I will just eat it in front of you like I always do. So, I'm gonna take a bite of this bad boy and see how good it tastes. Ready? Oh, it's huge. Oh yeah. I got chocolate on my cheek. Oh, I forgot to tell you, surprise. There's little Reese's Pieces on it. Now, this is extremely rich. Oh, but it's so good. But this is not for the faint of heart to eat. Seriously. It is good. So delicious. Lots of peanut butter. A little bit of chocolate. I probably could have used a little bit more chocolate on the inside. I just didn't have enough. But, oh my gosh, they're so good. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to finish devouring this lovely roll. If you guys have any ideas of what you want me to try to see if it turns out or if it flops, let me know in the comments below. We will see you guys next time. Bye!